يعطيكم العافية. هذه آخر محاضرة على chapter 3. المفروض نخلصها، وطبعا كل عام وانتم بخير سلفا، لأنه بعد يومين بكون العيد. بالنسبة للكويز على chapter 3 راح يكون مع نهاية الأسبوع القادم هذا، يعني يا اما السبت او يمكن ناجله لبدايه الاسبوع الجاي، بنحكي فيه بعدين ان شاء الله. طيب، خلينا نوصل عند اللي هي البروجكت ريسك مانجمنت نولج اريا. مثل ما انتم شايفين انه الريسك مانجمنت نولج اريا يعني very rich بالبروسيسز، فيها 7 بروسيسز. في عندنا اول بروسيس اللي هو مثل النولج ارياز الاخرى، دائما في بروسيس تو بريبير بلان. فهون في عندنا بلان ريسك مانجمنت بروسيس، الهدف منه تو بريبير ريسك مانجمنت بلان مثل ما هو مبين في الاوتبوت. في عندنا بروسيس تو ايدنتيفاي الريسكس، اللي هو ايدنتيفاي ريسكس، مبين من الاسم انه من خلال هذا البروسيس we identify كل ال potential أو ال possible risks اللي ممكن يواجهوا المشروع. أكيد طبعا بيكون في عنا analysis للريسكس. هلا هون في ال BMI أخذوا بعين الاعتبار ال both perspectives، ال quantitative وال qualitative perspectives of risk analysis. ففي عندي 2 processes. أول واحد اللي هو ال perform qualitative risk analysis. من الاسم we need to do with this process we do a qualitative quality wise risk analysis. The second one will perform a quantitative risk analysis. It's a quantity perspective. البروسيس اللي هو plan risk responses. We need to plan for what to do. بعدين في process اللي هو for implementing these responses. وفي عنا monitoring. We need to monitor risks. So whenever they occur, or any one of them is occurs, we just implement the plan. وخليني to remind you in chapter 2, when I talked about my process, I simplified the process for risk management, and I talked about the identification, I talked about the planning, and I talked about the implementation of the risk responses. In my model, very much the analysis, which is this process and this process, I put them part of the planning, or I have them merged in the planning process, and the monitoring, it's like part of the implementation. So I'm covering there the same thing very much, but in a more simplified approach. Okay. The risk management, the plan risk management, the output is the risk management plan, which is a subsidiary plan of the project management plan. The details, you can find them right here. Now, the second one, the identify. The inputs are those supplementary documents and plans of the project management plan, and the outputs are the risk register, which is the list of we need like a place where we register the risks. We have the risks report, which shows or lists the identified risks, and indeed, we would have some of the project documents updated. The third process, as we mentioned earlier, it's the perform a qualitative um, risk analysis. The inputs are the risk management plan, which is part of the project management plan. We have the assumption log, the risk register, the stakeholder register, etc. And the output is very much some updates on some of the project management or the project documents, such as the assumption log, the issues log, the risk register, and the risk report. Okay. The quantitative, the perform a quantitative risk analysis. We do the analysis, same inputs very much. The output is an update on the risk reports. Okay. Now the plan risk responses. We need to come up with a plan for what to do to encounter the identified risks. Now, the inputs to this process are the resource management plan, the risk management plan, and the cost baseline, plus the project documents, which are the lessons learned, register, project schedule, project team assignments, resource calendars, risk register, risk report, um, stakeholder registers, and so on. Okay. The outputs are some change requests. Why do we need to do change requests? Because for each risk, we may need to adjust the plan in a way that such that we encounter or contain the risks that, or some of the risks that are were identified. The project management plan would be updated, particularly the schedule management plan, the cost management plan, the quality management plan, the resource management plan, and so forth. Okay. Some of the project documents also would be updated, such as the assumption log, the cost forecast, lessons learned, and so on and so on. Okay. Now, the implement risk responses, we need to implement them. Now, we implement the risk in Ch.3, in my method or methodology for or model for risk management. We said the implementation, if the risk would have high impact or severe impact, then the implementation would take place as part of the project plan. From the beginning, you implement the solution or the response even before the risk takes place. If it is like intermediate, we just prepare a plan, and whenever the risk occurs, we just implement the solution or the response. Now, if the process is the impact is like minor, then we don't need to come up with a plan. If that risk comes or shows up, occurs, then we just create a plan and then implement it right away. Now, the last process is the monitor risks. Anything we do, we need to monitor that, right? We want to monitor the schedule, we monitor the cost, we monitor the quality. Now, same thing, we need to monitor the risks throughout the execution and the closure, monitor control, and the closure phases of the project. Now, next knowledge area is the procurement. Project procurement management. We need to manage the entire set of processes that concern the purchasing, the subcontracting, etc. Okay, اللي هي العقود والمشتريات. We have three processes. Project procurement management, conducting the procurements and controlling the procurements. We will see them in a row. Now, the procurement management process, the inputs are the charter, the project charter, the business documents, the project plans, some of the subsidiaries, the documents, you can read them. The output is a procurement management plan, procurement strategy, the received documents, the bid documents, the procurement statement of work, what we need to do throughout the project in terms of buying supplies, in terms of getting subcontractors, etc., etc. Now, there should be a criteria for selecting the subcontractors, criteria for selecting some supplies, and so on. There is a need for a decision whether to make or to buy a certain item. We need to estimate the costs of these supplies or subcontractors by independent consultants, like third-party consultant, to give us some estimates about the cost, how much that is going to cost us. We have the change requests. Okay, when you start issuing the, for example, the looking for subcontractors, you choose someone, then that someone would leave you the next day. Then you need to issue a change request to find someone else, an alternative, and so on and so on. These are just examples. Now, controlling the procurement by this process, the conducting the procurement. The inputs are the subsidiary plans of the project management plan, the scope management plan, requirements management plan, communication management plan, risk management plan, procurement management plan, configuration management plan, and cost baseline. You see, very much most of the subsidiary plans of the project plan in-house would be needed as inputs to this process in order to be able to conduct the what is going on throughout the procurement process. The output, the first output is these selected sellers from whom you would buy the supplies, or from whom you would buy the service as subcontractors. The agreements that needs to be signed or already signed by these subcontractors. Any changes need to be shown there. Some of the documents that were mentioned here, or all of them, would be updated. Some of the project documents, okay, again, would be updated. As you see here, this is our process, and all these are the inputs, and all these, okay, are very much affected by the output or resulted from this process. Controlling the procurement function of the process. Okay. We need to make sure that all procurements are closed at the end, which means we did the job, we paid the money, and we ensured that the received service or received the product component or the result of the procurement is up to the level and everything around it is taken care of. Okay. Some of the procurement documentation would be updated. Some of the management plans, sub-plans would be updated. Some of the documents would be updated. Now we would look at the project stakeholder management knowledge area. This knowledge area has four processes. Identify the stakeholders. You need to know who are the stakeholders. So you need to find out that from the project charter, from the business documents, the project management plan, etc. Many, some of the the outputs of this process, as we will see, like the stakeholders register, the change request, etc., etc. Now, the next process in this knowledge area is the plan stakeholder engagement. Now, each of the stakeholders that we identify in this process, the first process, should have a plan for his or their engagement in the project. How we would control or manage the relation or the interactive relation between them and the project team, what influence they would have on the project, and what input the team would be receiving from these stakeholders, and so forth. Now, these engagements, we need to manage it. Here we prepared the plan. Here we need to manage the execution or the implementation of that plan. And similar to anything else, we need to monitor, okay, what is going on and terms or respect to the stakeholders engagements. Now, the first one, as we see, identify stakeholders. You need to identify them. At the output is where the stakeholders register, which has the list, change requests in regards or respect to the list of stakeholders, some of the project management subsidiary plans, like the requirements management plan, the communication management plan, the risk management plan, the stakeholder engagement plan would be updated as a result of this. We have some of the documents like the assumptions log, the issues log, etc., would be updated as well. And the inputs to this process are the project charter, some of the business documents like the business case, the benefits management plan, some of the project management plan, subsidiary plans, the communication management plan, the stakeholder engagement plan. We have some of the project documents like the change log, the issues log, the requirements documentation, and so forth. Okay, here we have the plan stakeholder engagement. We need to come up at the end with a plan for stakeholder engagements. Each of the identified stakeholders, when and how and why will he or she will be involved in the project. Okay. In other words, as I mentioned earlier, what influence each of these the stakeholder would have and with whom on the project he or she can communicate with. The managed stakeholder engagement, anything we do, we need to manage it throughout the execution phase. Okay, so very much. You can look at the details here. Now, anything we do, we manage at the same time we monitor. Okay, and the monitoring goes through the execution phase, the monitoring and control phase, and the closure phase. Now, with this, we are done with chapter 3.